All right, well, let's start it off.
Yeah, so start with the Black Keys, who we've seen before, and
It's a number, you dick.
18. Oh man,
Oh man, let's start the whole thing again.
1815 Black Keys. I could name it one of their songs if you ask me to. Actually, I can. Black Submarine, but that's because Joe
So
talked
I
about it.
very much think that it's the seat. I think whoever sits in that far seat just gets totally left behind.
Yeah.
Except it's interesting because the two examples we can draw the most are probably Suzanne Santos, Gary Clark Jr., Patrick Carney, and Dan Auerbach. Those are the situations where the person was
Are
there.
those these guys?
I think the deal is when you go in, the more talkative of the two, you just have like a quiet agreement that person's probably going to sit across from Joe.
But we've seen podcasts where both seats were lively as part of the nice story, Gary, part of the conversation.
I'm going to do a whole 360 here, or 180 rather. Half a 360.
Yeah, then you'd be coming right back to your original
Yes,
position. Yeah,
exactly. I don't think that the seat has anything to do with it. I think he's just like a quiet front man, and the other guy happens to be, is he a drummer or guitarist? What?
Listen,
He's just the louder of the two.
Dan- oh,
he
yes,
knows
the drummer.
all about the aliens. He
Because
knows
he's
about
the
this.
drummer.
He
I was
knows
going
about
to
the
say,
drummer.
drummers
Drummers are
are
crazy.
always the crazy ones. Yeah, and they're always fucking the Tommy
What
Lee.
do you call a guy who always hangs out with the band?
The drummer.
And the lead singer doesn't want to talk too much because he's got his voice.
I don't think that's
If,
the
no,
reason, but whatever.
if you talk a lot, like it wears
Maybe
on your
he's
voice.
just like a weird introvert who happens to have a voice of gold. I don't know any of their songs, by the way. Matt, do you know any of their songs?
I do, yeah.
Sing one for me, please.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Could you do that for me, please? I want to know if I know one.
They have a cool band story about how they began, and that crazy guy gave them their name, and the other band didn't show up.
Great
sort of
story,
thing.
bro.
School fights. Actually, they talked about school fights. That there was like a fight every day, and girls' fights were the most vicious.
And they were the hardest to watch. Like, watching any fight is hard.
It is
I don't
hard.
know if you
Well,
guys get that weird feeling in your stomach.
Especially if
but-
it's unsanctioned and just wild.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Watching UFC fights isn't hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those guys are both going in. They know what they're doing. And they're also in the same weight class. And they're also both professional fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how often does that happen in a street fight? It's always some guy who thinks he knows how to fight and then runs into, like, you know, somebody who
Or
knows how to
swarming.
fight.
Which
Or
is
a
another
swarming,
thing that
yeah.
you'd bear witness to in fights, especially school fights.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot going on.
I wonder if the fights have gone down.
But, like, we didn't even go to a very bad school, and we saw tons of fights.
But if it's transferred into just online now, like no one gets physical, they just fuck
That
each other
almost
up.
seems worse, right? I don't know. I guess not.
For the record, my first day at Glebe, and I mean very first day, there was like a 50-person brawl.
Oh, really?
I remember sitting. I had gym class last period of the day, and there were so many people sitting on the Glebe side, like on the curb, and I'm talking like 50 people. I was like, wow, a lot of people sitting out there. And I get out of gym class, and all the Glebe boys are on First Ave beating the shit out of this group from another, I think from Nepean or something.
No way.
I guess we did. It wasn't a great school. I guess more what I meant is it was in like a pretty affluent community. There was no reason.
There's no reason for it, but everyone was like a
Wasn't the
rich kid that
streets.
wanted to be a gangster.
Sure.
And testosterone and
I mean, that happens
insecurity.
in every school, though, right? Like,
And I don't know if it still happens or if it's more they fight online.
I mean, listen,
people still fight.
But does someone tweet something about someone and the next day they get punched in the
Yes.
face?
World
Or
star,
shot.
man. Like,
I mean, listen,
You
my
see it all
dad,
the time.
my dad said when he went to Gloucester High School, and I also went to Gloucester for like half a semester or a semester, whatever. He said there was like 15 fights a day. Like he said it was like there was just. He also said though when he went there weren't enough lockers, and like when I went there I was like, how is this possible? There was lockers fucking everywhere. So when I don't know, I guess
Your locker's like your first apartment.
yeah, it's true.
and if you
Yeah.
have to share it with somebody, you have a roommate.
And if you leave food in it, you're garbage.
Oh,
Could you imagine what my locker looked like?
Oh, it's probably terrible.
It was a mess.
My locker was terrible too. Like, I never had a knapsack. I used to carry all just my papers around in like a plastic bag,
Weird.
like a vagrant.
That's
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, that's garbage for sure, man.
Like a vagrant.
No, I mean, that's pretty much how I lived. Like, and then I'd get all those papers and I'd transfer them to my locker, which was garbage, full of garbage and papers and plastic bags, actually.
crazy locker maintenance.
I remember in high school though, it was always like a good place to do weed deals.
Just
Put it in the locker.
Your locker, yeah, you know, open it up, throw it in.
Very, very schmick.
Very schmick.
Did you guys ever do whippets?
No.
a whippet. That is the little bit of nitrous.
Yeah.
I mean, does it count out of the can?
I think
I don't think that's a real.
when-
I mean,
when
that's the
I
kids
did
whip it.
You know, they had the
Yeah,
whole
like you're doing
jobby,
actual
and it's like
nitrous.
you just open it a bit and you
Yeah,
get it.
no, I've never done that. I've done actual or had nitrous.
Yeah,
done.
well, that's the best way to go. But
I
I
had it in the hospital.
I did it with some doctors, so I felt
You felt
Pretty
good about
protected.
I
it?
felt like I was in the right place,
Nice.
and they're doing it. Like
Yeah.
Well, that would make me feel less good about it. But
Well, listen, it's an amazing drug. I don't know what it's actually like good or bad for you or whatever, you know what I mean? But that thing sends you like into the fucking clouds.
dude, Andrew Callahan, the guy from All Gas No Brakes, he went to a Fish concert, and they all do. That's all they do. It's like people our age.
That's
like
what fish
doctors
heads
and
are.
dentists.
They're just
Yeah,
nitrous addicts.
Dude, it's guys walking around with balloons
makes
offering
sense.
fucking nitrous
same
to
with
people.
same with the Grateful Dead.
They were doing
yeah,
a lot
Gotta
of
be
acid.
out
acid
of
A lot
your
of
head
acid,
to
yeah.
enjoy that experience.
It's very interesting.
to enjoy such terrible music.
When we were kids, though, there was a story of either a Dairy Queen or McDonald's. A kid was doing it in the back, and he blew up his lungs.
Well, I'm sure you can do too much.
And now I don't think that happened.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right, Kamar.
Or maybe he did. Like I think he did it with the industrial gun.
It's another bad trip thing. They also told us not to huff paint, and now I'm thinking I should have totally done that.
no, that's different.
Oh, that's different?
That-
Okay.
that
okay.
kills your brain cells for sure.
The problem though with those stories is like they could easily exist, but you hear it and you're like, oh my god, but you don't think you're like, oh wait, millions of people do millions of hits of acid every. You know what I mean? Like
I seriously, as a kid,
You don't hear the
like
bad stories
a
as
teenager, thought that like 1 in 10 people who did acid had a bad trip. That's like those were my rationales in my head. Mushrooms, you could never have a bad trip, so I would do as many mushrooms as possible.
you've never had a
you know?
bad mushroom trip.
I mean, I've had like a scary mushroom trip, which I guess you would call a bad trip, but I learned a lot from it. It
was the experience, though, not the mushrooms.
It was crazy. But now that I think about it, I think, and I might have said this last week, we did mushroom tea, and I didn't make the tea, and now I'm thinking that it was a long story. We ended up at like these older dudes' house, and where we bought the mushrooms from,
Yeah.
and they made the tea for us, and then they started trying to like trip us out and shit, which totally fucked me up. But I'm thinking they put way more mushrooms into our tea than I thought.
And you were way more fearless at this time.
Oh, of course, you would just drink whatever, you know, and then you eat the mushrooms at the bottom of the tea, which sends you to a whole other.
get sucked up.
Yeah, but
I can eat as much as anyone.
but I think they threw like a couple extra grams in there into that tea.
The New World Order,
No, these guys who we ended up, were you not part of the conversation?
the older kids.
They're the older kids, exactly.
They
Because I was so fucked up. First of all, they were trying to trip us out, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know what? It doesn't matter. I got all fucked up.
Hey, I think I might have been them.
No, you weren't. You weren't them. It was Ryan Lee. Do you know Ryan Lee?
Oh, what? You're hanging out with those guys. That's
Well,
heavy.
that's who we went and bought the mushrooms
That's
from.
heavy.
And they were some serious mushrooms.
Yeah, those guys like to do drugs.
Oh, they like
no.
to do drugs.
Do drugs, but they know what drugs they're doing too.
But he was like, even, I'm sure he grew those mushrooms.
bet
And he
he
was
did, too.
probably experimenting back
We'll
then.
have to edit that out.
Oh, okay.
no, I'm not editing shit
Forget
out.
that. Yeah.
Do you feel like would you feel safer? Not that you're going to, but would you feel safer doing acid now, or like 30 years ago?
Now, because I think it's probably being made better.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think now they were just trying to stop me from doing acid, but I'm still not going to do
I know
acid.
you're not going to do it. I was just
Yeah.
saying in
Yeah.
general,
Yep.
like if you were 19 now or 20 now,
I mean, it being cleaner now, I don't know that either.
I think
It's probably
more-
dirtier now.
It's probably the source, though.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
If you got
the
it from a
source.
guy in a nice shirt, you know, pleated pants, it'd be all right. But if the guy had no teeth and dirty hands,
No, if I knew the guy was
it might
like
be the other way around.
a chemist by day and an acid dealer by
source.
night, I would be like, okay, let's do this. But if it's coming from like Kamar's friend Richard,
but that's what he's saying. So if
I
you
don't
meet a
know.
guy, so if you meet a guy who's like, I work at DuPont all day, here's the acid, and he's dressed like a, you know.
No, but I mean DuPont. What's DuPont?
Chemical factory.
Oh, it's a chemical factory.
Company,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, yeah, perfect. But I'd rather be a scientist than a salesman, I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, I'm just saying he's dressed well because, you know, he works at DuPont, he makes a good living, and then he makes some acid.
If he's an acid guy and he's a scientist, he should be wearing a white coat. That's where I got thrown off with
Okay.
the fancy clothes. He
they
should
have
said
to look
lab
like
jacket.
They have to look like Beaker from the Muppets.
I mean,
That's-
tell the
I don't think you
story.
meet him at
Tell
the
the
lab.
story right. You know what
That's
You
I
might
mean?
every
meet him at a
scientist.
bar or like in library, maybe. Library.
Library,
Cover.
there you go.
You could sell a lot of drugs
Yeah.
in library.
University
No one's
library.
That's not true because that'd be all the heat.
Because someone's at the library?
Yeah, they'd be like, why are all these people at the library?
No, but what I'm thinking is you'd go and you'd put the book at like crimes and misdemeanors, wherever that is. You'd put the drugs there. And the
I
other
think you
person
could
put
do
the-
better than that. Like Ken Kesey, One Flew Over the
It
Cuckoo's
depends
Nest.
how much drugs for how big the book has to be. But you see the money gets put somewhere and then.
What's the sorry, go ahead. With
Yeah,
your
that was
money
the whole
thing.
No, I like
The-
this more. I
the
like where you're
Merry
going here.
Pranksters. What book is that?
The Merry
Chuck
Pranks.
Plans.
Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. That's
Acid.
where it should go.
It's just there's a whole bookshelf with just that book.
No,
on
no,
every
it's
fucking-
just one
yeah,
book. It's
they
just
know?
one book, but the deal's always done in it.
Okay, I like that.
Because of Katrina, like paramilitary dolphins escaped.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
they're out there.
Paramilitary dolphins.
Is there like a dolphin cartel? I just think that there's a missed opportunity, or it's worse than we
100%.
think, and that's why we don't hear about it.
It's with the dolphins. It's worse than we think.
Listen, guys, 10% of our ocean. There is all sorts of hanky shit going down there. There's probably a alien civilization, a dolphin civilization, and they're probably like warring factions, and we're up here with our thumbs up our ass.
They're weaponized dolphins. But don't you think that should have been the first focus we had, unless we know it's not possible, besides space or anything, is just talking to animals?
Oh, talking to, I thought you were going to say going into the ocean. But yeah, talking to animals, sure.
Wouldn't that be the breakthrough we're looking for?
Well, what do you think that's going to happen if we can talk to the animals?
I don't know, but definitely the way we're going.
But hold on, we have. They've taught a gorilla sign language before.
I mean, kind of. Very rudimentary.
Okay, but I'm just saying that's the first step, is it not?
Yeah,
Do
but
you
I-
teach one animal,
Yeah, sure.
the closest to you?
But I don't think they could, like, I think there's a difference between using language and being taught language.
Okay, I agree, but I'm, again, for baby steps. Like,
Yeah,
you're not just
sure.
going to overnight be like, I mean, I guess you're looking at the X Factor
But
technology. to
He's
just,
talking about, like, are you talking about just all animals? Like, you want to talk to the groundhogs.
But
I
then
just don't
imagine
think their brains work like that.
Each one
you
you
know?
have to get in the lab, and when you have the breakthrough, it goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Let me out of here."
You can only talk to a dolphin because they're so fucking smart. Like, that's...
Yeah.
We're able to bridge that gap because they're so... I mean, they may be smarter than we are.
But they just maybe be like, "Fuck you! I'm angry. I gotta go, mate," and then die. Like they have no insight.
yeah.
They're so. Well, it was more to talk. We were talking about last week.
Foxes.
Violence.
Oh.
Like, do we get rid of violence? And I said, well, it's always in animals. Like,
Well, remember what Mike Tyson was saying about the foxes being the most cunning of all animals because it has reason? There aren't many animals that have reason.
but like they said, we think the owl is some wise sort of thing, but it's just out there trying to kill
Yeah.
mice. Like, it might as well be the ultimate warrior.
Or authors' wives.
When I think of owls, I think of also liking
Nothing? Okay.
lollipops.
Oh, the staircase. Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
Were we talking about that last week?
I thought you
No,
were talking about.
they brought it up.
Oh, they brought it up. That wasn't a fucking owl.
Oh, Joe is now convinced it was
I know
an owl.
Joe is just like it's an owl.
How do you explain micro feathers in her hair?
How do you explain that this guy's already been accused of pushing his neighbor's wife down a flight of stairs? No owl involved.
And it doesn't have to be a push, eh? It could just be the, oh, pardon me. You can even give fair warning as you put your hip into them.
I've listened to a couple of cases where a guy takes his wife up to like some lookout
mountain?
and she just happens to step on a faulty rock and
Do you know how many
just
wives
falls to her death.
Do you know how many wives fall off of cruise ships?
How
a
many,
lot.
Matt?
A
lot of
lot.
wives.
Yeah. It's because you realize you made a bad decision.
Well, and you're in the open sea. There's no investigation. The boat barely doubles
No
back.
cameras, you know that on the cruise
just
ship.
a horrible
Those
indictment,
places are like a fucking floating.
Dude, I saw the craziest video the
Debauchery
other day.
palace.
It's not a great video. You can't see much, but this woman is being like, security's trying to grab her. They're on a cruise ship, and she like breaks free of security and jumps off the side.
What?
See you later, suckers.
Yeah, and
She
then
must have gotten sucked under.
what's even crazier is the same guy posts a video like 5 hours later, and it's an announcement over the PA where they're like, "We've stopped the search. We're gonna just continue on."
Oh no, that's it.
Well,
There's
that's
nothing you
what
can
I'm-
do.
well, that's what I'm saying
it.
is
Yeah.
I think it would take like a kilometer for the boat to slow down, to
Turn around,
maybe
yeah.
even more, to possibly.
Well, they have lifeboats they could send out. It's not like there's nothing on the boat they could do. They lower them down, they send them out.
But maybe they did that. We don't. know.
Listen, she's fucked. Those if it's a huge cruise ship,
Dude, it's like
you
15
can't even
stories.
survive that fall, let alone then getting. Did you ever see the footage of that guy? He's on the jet ski and he thinks he's being all cool. He like
and it
rides
gets-
up to a
sucks
jet,
him under?
and he's
Yeah.
so lucky that he
Oh,
gets
dude, he
out.
nearly got
man.
killed by
But,
the
like,
propeller.
Imagine how stupid you must think as that's happening.
Since how dumb are you?
Well, you're just trying to have fun, and then you just realize, oh
Dude,
my,
that's so
fuck.
dangerous.
Like
I
you
know
can't,
you're trying to have fun.
You
That's
can't
so
jump
dangerous.
off the thing. Then you're dead for sure. You have to just fucking hit that throttle and hope for the best. But he was
know what we're talking about,
underwater.
No.
The guy's on a jet ski and he's literally following like a tanker. Not a tanker, like an
I
evergreen
think
type
it was
of
like
ship.
a yacht, or I don't know.
I think it's
sure.
like a big tanker.
It's
and
a huge ship, big wake.
he's like 2 feet from the side of it. And eventually its undertow just sucks him in the jet ski and he's got like a GoPro on and it just sucks him under the ship.
All you see is water for like.
and
a
then you
couple
can
of
I'm pretty sure at
seconds.
some point you see the propeller like go by and it's fucking you're just
right.
like holy
And then
shit.
he fucking blasts out of it, like luckily.
Does he die?
No.
He blasts out of it.
Speaking of yachts, they played at St. Bart's.
Yeah.
And they're saying a little ding concert, but there's hundreds of yachts, and the yachts are highly armed, have mercenaries on them. I forget what podcast I was listening to, not talking about, but just talking about what you have to maintain if everything goes crazy for the hired mercenaries to placate you, well, you're still in charge. Like after a while there's like, fuck you, this is mine now. Like if money means nothing, what do you have over this mercenary that they just don't kill you? And
Well, they want to get another job, and they don't want to go to
society's
jail.
crumbled. There are
Oh,
no
I see. Gotcha. That's why you have to have people working with you who love you.
how long you can go for with hired help, so to speak.
But Joe doesn't really need that. He can protect himself. So
till it all goes awry.
Joe is probably a great shot. He can use a bow. He can strangle you to death. he can kick you to death.
I was going to say, worst case scenario, Joe's just going to leg kick his way through the apocalypse. Just
He
chopping down deer. If he has, it doesn't matter. Nothing will be safe from Joe's
That's so
fucking
funny.
calf kick.
That's how Joe hunts.
Yeah, he's out
given
there
up.
calf kicking deer.
He's given up on archery. Now he has to get right up to the deer so he can leg kick him.
No, but that's it. He's so good at archery
Yeah.
during the apocalypse. He's like, this is no longer
too easy.
Yeah, I have to get up close.
I want to
stealth.
strangle that
Yeah.
motherfucker.
I bet you can
Yeah,
have,
leg kick.
have whatever you want on a boat. Like if you bought the right gun or missile or
Yeah.
rocket launcher from the right port.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, do you not remember that Simpsons episode where they
it
were
wasn't
like,
Simpsons.
no, the Simpsons episode where they were like, they had to have that famous fight out in open waters, Mike Tyson versus Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
No, it's that. Is it Ali G or it may be one of his later guys? It's a later one. Bruno,
One of
not
the
Bruno.
craziest episodes ever.
Where he's convincing that guy
This
to
Is
buy
America.
the yacht. Oh, it's This Is
No,
America.
he goes to the yacht salesman. This guy sells like super yachts to the wild rich. He's that Italian dude.
Yeah, and he's like, I want a missile launcher.
no,
and,
it's worse than that. He's like, let's say I wanted to transport like 50
yeah.
refugees. Could the boat fit 50 refugees? And he's like, oh, for sure. There's definitely room for 50 refugees on there. And he's like, and what if I was like transporting like sex slaves, for example? He's like, yeah, I mean, whatever you need the boat for, like it's.
They could probably breathe for like
don't
13
care.
hours if you get there
No,
fast.
this guy didn't give a shit.
He was like, I want to put a missile launcher. His job. We can do that. I want to put fucking fake doors
Simon,
everywhere so
keep in
nobody
mind-
can see where I'm hiding people.
They brought footage from that show to the FBI about a child pedophile ring, and the FBI did nothing about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. They were probably running that ring.
was-
Matthew.
It's such a different level. It's another dimension. Because even rich people or relatively rich people Do you have a boat? Well, no, that costs too much. Like a boat, let alone a yacht.
Yeah.
Because all you could buy watches, they could be an asset, even a sports car, like crazy purchases. But the boat is the one thing where you gotta like
Well, I saw a meme the other day. It was
bleed
like
out for it.
I saw this meme the other day. It was like when a millionaire meets a billionaire, and there's a yacht that you would be very happy with, and then behind it is the yacht you could pull that yacht into the back of. You know what I
The
mean?
Jeff Bezos yacht where
Yeah.
you got to move bridges to fucking pull it out.
And these guys have been through it all. The Black Keys, that is. Sort of like we talk about having one foot in
In both worlds, yeah.
technology and before technology, they have like having shit and like at the gold standard of smoking a joint with Rihanna. Just a little, Paul McCartney once told me never to drop a name.
Dude, it's crazy because I saw like a video the other day where Ali G, speaking of, he's like, yeah, I was at a party and I was sitting with Bono and Noel Gallagher, and it's just like, that's so fucking weird that like, imagine you're just one day you're just some guy.
I do imagine all the time. I imagine me fucking it up.
Sorry, keep going.
Lead in gas made us stupid,
Well, we've talked about that. We've
but
talked
maybe
about that
we
a
should
bunch.
bring lead back into gas.
This guy's
And
hilarious.
we want to go back to that dumber things didn't matter as much. Maybe that's what the wokeness and overreaction and cancel culture is from cleaner gas. I don't know. Just putting that out there.
Out of all the things that it could possibly be, you want to bring back something we know is really detrimental to us.
And you think that it will kill cancel culture? I love this.
Most interesting fact
Bring
for me
lead
in this
back.
podcast was when they were talking about asbestos.
asbestos?
And you've seen it.
I have it in my basement.
And when you
Really?
Yeah.
but it's fine as long as it's there. If it gets disturbed right away, then it's bad. Bringing in the dust.
Yeah.
But you see it everywhere. You're like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like, is this still here? Because you thought that all asbestos had been eradicated, but they just don't use it now. Mm-hmm. And
No, but I mean, if you've ever sold or bought a house, Kamar, you know that's something that comes up. You know what I mean?
and why is interesting to me is I was born in an asbestos mine.
Asbestos.
Asbestos.
It
I
sounds
love
like a Johnny
Simon's-
Cash song. Is that
I was
true?
just gonna say I love Kamar's like just like Timmy the Orphan story. Like I was born in a salt mine with no dad. Like,
I gave
or
it to him
an
this time.
asbestos
I didn't
mine.
even fight it.
If
You're an asbestos
framed
child.
correct, it sounds amazing.
It's like a crack baby.
Yeah.
If I just could learn how to pronounce asbestos,
Yeah, you got it that
I
time.
was born in an asbestos mine.
You're there.
That's my claim to fame.
Knocked it out of the park.
Like, I don't know. And I made it so asbestos can't be that bad.
Don't forget to talk about Tom DeLonge, eh?
As a baby. Yeah. Jerky Boys. Love the Jerky
Incredible.
Boys.
Dude, I listened to
Love
one.
the Jerky Boys. Still holds up today.
I listened to one 2 weeks ago, and it still holds up.
Yep.
Fucking incredible.
Yep, they're just, it's never not funny to prank call somebody. You know, it's timeless.
Yeah.
Because it is a early troll.
Yeah, but
I
it was a
mean,
harmless
yay,
troll for the most
yay
part.
and nay.
Some trolls can be harmless. Some trolls are very annoying.
Yeah.
It's in the troll family.
It's in the troll family. I'll give you that, Kay.
Hold on. You know what? I'll say this.
It's like an elf,
Trolling now versus then.
dwarf.
Like then you probably wouldn't repeat prank call the same person over and over again. Whereas now trolling is like, I'm going to concentrate on this person for a long time.
They're totally different.
One of the keys to the prank call, which, I mean, he's still doing it. He said like
Yeah,
2
it goes
years
to
ago or
hotel
something,
rooms. Yeah.
is
That's
the call,
weird.
Is the call display? But as I was saying, he was calling from a hotel, so maybe you get a call from a hotel. You think, whoa, fancy dancy or whatever. Otherwise, they know to call you
That
back.
is not what I think when if a hotel were to appear on my phone.
You call back. Yes, sir.
Fancy.
My
Fancy
fridge
schmancy.
my fridge is running. Thank you.
Grey Poupon, you say?
They brought up the topic of them. What is selling out in music?
Yeah.
He reversed me.
Yeah. Uno reverse.
But as we thought about saying before, that their music is in tons of commercials.
Yeah, all of them.
And we as kids thought there was something wrong with selling out, and they were like, "No, we heard that too, but you want to sell out."
Yeah. How about the California raisins?
Well, that was the example they used that ruined it. And I think as a kid, I just thought it was rad. Like I did not even think of, except for maybe
Oh, we had that great California Raisins.
Well,
Are they racist talk?
the artists. Yeah. R.I.P.
Fuck. It's lost to the
Did the
ether.
artists
No,
get
I
paid
mean it's coming right now,
for
Matt.
all that California raisin?
We were working organically towards it.
Well, they brought up Burt Bacharach. Was that in this one or another one?
Nope, that's
That's later.
Top two,
That's later.
top
Yeah.
two podcasts.
Of
Can't
all
wait
the
to hear
people
that.
the fucking bringing up, it was so weird. Anyways,
But they're also talking about having a manager who's like, yeah, I declined that $100,000 from. Like what? You what? Because there is no selling out, and then your manager's like, I'll protect your image, but as we know, there is no image to protect. Travis Scott is selling a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
at some point,
Yeah, but sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say at some point musicians got together and must have been like, listen, we're all gonna do this now, and then nobody's gonna be able to say shit. We're just gonna bombard advertising. That's what we do.
Yeah, but it's a weird.
No, it's me. Sorry.
The weird flex to me is like once you get to a certain level, you can really be picky and choosy, and the money's gonna come no matter what. So I understand why you'd turn down a Mayo ad,
But I
no
think,
matter what the money was like.
I think
I get. Yeah, sorry.
they were talking about all these artists are selling like music. People say music aren't worth anything, yet all these artists are selling their catalogs for $500 million, and then you will see these songs in ads. And rightfully they'll cost money, but
I guess when streaming came along too, like the shit, it changed the value of the music. So if they could now get that value some other way.
you still pay for the rights to play something.
No, that's what
Or
I'm
get
saying.
copyrighted.
The musician gets their money there because they're not getting it from album sales anymore, and they're certainly not getting it from Spotify or
Keep in mind too, like the algos running on music copyright are fucking insane versus anything else.
It's on it.
Like the music industry chases copyright like
Lockdown.
no fucking other. They go after everything. You have to be so fucking careful. That's why I almost went back. Should he?
No, let's not.
Speaking of Spotify, they were talking about the Bruce Springsteen Obama podcast.
Yeah.
So they only got $25 million for like 12 episodes.
Who did that?
Why would you say only?
I'm being facetious.
Okay.
Sorry, he had a podcast.
Barack
Obama and Bruce
Together.
Springsteen. Yeah.
Barack and Bruce.
Yeah. That's what it was called.
No, what was it really called?
Rowboat Lover.
Rowboat Lover.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was called.
No,
You're
I don't know
lying.
what.
Why? What does that even mean?
I was
like, is that a Bruce
dude? I just did like a
Springsteen
blitz,
song?
mash some
I
words
was more
together.
hung up on the $25 million for a podcast that
Oh, I
went
mean,
nowhere.
that's crazy. But
dumb.
what the fuck were those two doing together?
Dude, I saw someone the
What
other.
Talking
an
about being
odd
successful.
couple. I guess. Sure.
Well, it's not on anymore.
I saw one the other day. Wendy Williams wants to start a podcast, and she's looking for a Joe Rogan type deal. Are you fucking? People are just going after it now.
Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, back to the sellout thing, it's like Bad Baby. If you saw Bad Baby, you're like, oh, well, she's going to be an embarrassment the rest of her life. No,
Nope.
It's you gotta do right. I'm sure there's decisions you go along the way where you buy a chicken restaurant and it ruins you as you come up to exploit yourself. But for the most part, it's what people do. Manuel Noriega playlist. That was weird.
Not a bad playlist.
No, the songs were good. Like there must have been some noise, but I was thinking, how much did the music companies pay or charge the military for using that music?
It's a good question. Probably
Maybe they
nothing.
just gave. Oh yeah, you want to torture this guy? Please use Billy Joel.
Who did they use? Nickelback?
No, they weren't around back then.
I don't even think it was Nickelback, but it was Led Zeppelin. I think a Bob Seger song. Everyone was Bob Seger.
They play everything but Night Moves.
What do you think they play now? What's the most annoying song in the world that would drive somebody crazy if you heard it?
Baby Shark.
Times? That's a good one. I'm Too Sexy, maybe?
Well, that's a good one.
Or no, Barbie. You know that one?
I'm a Barbie
That's a
girl.
fucking annoying song.
Aqua. I want to protest when you talked about the golf tee in the mouth. So guys would put golf tees in their mouth and then get,
Heavy metals, yeah.
but that's not how it works. Like you put a golf tee out of the bag or whatever. I guess if you pick one off the ground,
What do you mean that's not how it
you
works?
still would never put a golf tee in your mouth,
Yeah.
then put it on the ground,
Yeah.
and then destroy it.
No, you might hit your shot and
Yeah.
the tea survives and
Yeah.
you pick it up and you put it in your mouth.
No one does that.
But what?
No one does that enough for it to be like a thing.
Apparently they did. I mean, I don't necessarily believe that
How
story
many times
either,
do you remember
but
having a golf tee in your mouth?
I always had a cigarette in my mouth,
Yeah.
so it didn't apply. But I guess some people
He
put
kept
golf
the
tees
golf
in.
tee in his anus,
No one-
obviously.
No one
where
puts
it's
used
supposed
golf
to go.
tees in their mouth.
Okay, you cannot say that.
They put them in their pocket.
Okay, well, fine. Then they got fucking testicular cancer from having it close to their balls. You feel better now?
Yeah, I do. I actually personally feel much better.
Perfect. Let's
Thanks,
move
Simon.
on.
We got to actually move on. Actually, wait. Do you want to do Hotep
No,
next?
first we have to talk
Okay,
about
sorry. Tom DeLonge.
Oh,
Tom
yeah, he
DeLonge.
talked about running into Tom
Jeez
DeLonge.
Louise. And a crazy story. What was the story? Oh, the blackout, which was very interesting.
The blackout was caused by
What year
UFO
was
getting
it?
shot down by they.
It was 2003.
And that reached us as well, Matt?
Yeah, Montreal. It was.
See, that's crazy.
It was everywhere.
It was the whole eastern seaboard.
And the fact that that came from Tom DeLonge, I actually put more credit into it because it's like you're hearing it firsthand from a guy who may have firsthand information.
He also said he thinks they're watching all the time and are just cloaked.
Well, I can't. I don't know about that.
Didn't we have a big looting spree during that blackout?
Yes, Ottawa had the most looting per capita.
Dude, Kamar has so much information this week. It's
Yeah, he's
crazy.
on top of it.
On top of it. But wait, Tom DeLonge. So Joe will not give him any fucking kudos at all, ever. Like, even this long removed, where one way or another, even if he was being used as a pawn by the government or he actually was getting good information, Joe can say one of those two things. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to just fucking saying this guy's a kook.
It seems like he's distancing himself.
It's very arrogant. Like, one way or another, we don't know shit, which then leads me to think that maybe Joe thinks he or does know shit. Like, possibly Mike Baker told him something that he's just bought into hook, line, and sinker. Or maybe Joe heard from somebody else about like the credibility of what everybody is seeing. But even if that's the case, there are so many sightings. Some of them are going to be the government. That's going to be, it's going to be our government, other countries' governments. Some of that's going to play into it. There are all, if you believe that we're not the only things in the universe, then there are going to be other things as well. And listen, I'm hearing
hold
so
on.
much stuff about the ocean right now, dude. All the action that goes down in the ocean, all the things we don't know about. There's more things going on in the ocean than in the air. Think about that. We have no idea. Things are happening down there that we have zero idea about. What we're seeing in the air is like, because that's not where they spend most of their time.
Have you seen 2022, that terrible John Cusack movie?
2022. I'm sure I have. There's
Or is
a
it
natural
2010?
disaster.
Is that where he rides a limousine over? Yeah. I see.
Yes.
It's a natural disaster one?
Yes, it is. Yeah. You sometimes remind me, right there, you reminded me of the Woody Harrelson character who's like living in an RV, eating pickles,
I
doing his
know.
like pirate radio podcast.
I don't know if I take that as a
I
compliment.
just picture
or an
you on
insult.
I picture you on a little dinghy in the ocean. Like, this is Simon reporting live from the Atlantic.
Anyways, yeah. So, but Joe has to like one way or another.
He's got to
beca-
address the
Yeah, address it, and then become a guy who either is going to support new things happening or is going to be against. But we can still talk about it. It doesn't have to be just a dead topic.
No, he
really
talks
bothers
better
you.
of other guests on the
It's
show than he
very
does Tom
bothersome.
DeLonge.
And I think he absolutely, one way or another, even if Tom was being used by the government unknowingly, he owes Tom an apology. Period.
I agree.
Period.
I could agree
And
with
a
that.
sentence.
I agree with that.
Or just speak nicer of him.
No, at some point he should be like, you know what? This guy, as crazy as it may sound, was a conduit to make some of this disclosure
Treat him like
happen.
Alex Jones. Like Alex Jones says more than he's
Oh,
wrong.
how about that, eh? In the show, we never talked about this, but Schaub said in his episode he ran into Alex Jones in the green room.
Yeah.
That means Joe, unless Alex Jones was just there visiting,
No, they have a banked episode.
Joe has a banked episode of Alex Jones. That is like amazing. What the fuck? Why aren't we getting it, Joe? You're self-censoring?
Yeah, well, if he was just, he could have been just meeting him there to go for dinner. If there's one in the can, as you think there could be. They said Johnny Depp was winning public opinion. They all sort of agreed through the court.
The press? Is that what you were?
Yeah, but on SNL they made fun of Johnny, and she wasn't in the skit.
Well, I mean, Johnny is still very funny. Like, when they're... How did they make fun of him, Kumar? I'm sorry.
They just made fun of how he talked. And
Yeah.
so the judge was like, let's have a party.
Well,
And
that is really funny. The way he talks is just like...
they reenacted her doggy do, but she wasn't in it. She wasn't a character.
Did they talk about the coke snorting?
I mean, listen,
No, exactly. No, she wasn't mentioned.
I'm with Kamar. That's fucked.
That they don't mention her?
Yeah,
was
listen,
just-
I
just
have no
Johnny.
Yeah.
listen. I have no problem with them making fun of Johnny Depp. That's great. You should.
Yeah.
The trial is
That's what I
hilarious.
mean. It's hilarious.
Everything is
Yeah.
great.
It's in the
But for
news.
you not to include her batshit crazy ass,
Yeah, why
at
are they
all
not
in the
including
sketch?
her?
That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't make any sense.
What's Twitter saying?
I don't know. It just
What's
occurred
Black
to me.
Twitter saying?
I watched it this morning.
And you got into that whole... Oh, we're moving on?
Where's the
We're
dog?
moving on. Did
you
you
see
let
him?
him outside?
Well, can you see him?
No. Yeah.
There's actually a couple things we'll have to do in the post, Joe. I just when Dan Auerbach didn't speak up, he said, "Yeah, I rented my son a Lamborghini. Here, I'm thinking he's like 21, like time of his life." And he goes, "How old is he? 6."
Yeah.
That was his big contribution to the show. And lastly, when he talked about everyone's scared of Russian hyper missiles, like I think we spend like 10 times what any of these countries spend, and we have better stuff than, which led into the discussion about missiles being
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Mike Baker could have piped in, or he's got to say, yeah, pretend like we don't have the weapons Russia has, but
Toe the line. Because if they have hypersonic, then we have super hypersonic. And if they have a fucking tic tac that can defy gravity, then we must have a thing that opens up portals to go to other dimensions. Like, that's what kind of one-upsmanship has been going on since... Dude, think about it. They fucking faked a moon landing just to one-up Russia.
boom.
Look at their military budget.
And
They don't want to give their citizens free healthcare because their military budget is
Well, Matt, they need a
fucking
Space Force.
staggering.
Like,
Anyway.
Space Force is hilarious. Did you guys watch that?
I-
It really is a funny
canceled.
show. Did it?
Yep.
It was
Did
too
it really?
true. It was too real.
Weird.
Too good.
Too real.
All right, well, let's rate this one. We got to move
Yeah.
on. I'm very sorry. I actually give this one a 3.5.
I give it a 4. I loved it.
Who's the middle one? Hotep, and then...
It's Gad Sad, Hotep,
Oh,
and then
fuck.
Christina
Then I
P.
have to give this one a 3. According to this logic of a 2,
Yeah.
I got to give this one a 3.
He's just a nerdy know-it-all. Like, and they're just a cool band, down to earth. Like,
I mean, I gave these guys a 5
I don't
the first
even
time,
know if
first
that's
time
right,
they were on.
because
I like
yeah.
when these guys are on.
no,
It's
it
a
was
good.
It was absolutely
Listen,
fun.
they have interesting topics. They're not boring at all. They're down to earth guys.
Oh,
like
that's right. Matt gave these guys a
Yeah.
5.
They have a nice bias towards
That's
the show.
crazy.
Because he listens.
like you said though, I love that they have a foot in like they still play shitty little.
Oh, we didn't even get into that.
But you know what I mean? They still play shitty little bars, where at the same time they're doing St. Bart's New Year's Eve. Like, yeah, they really great guys.
Can't hate him.
As people, they're 5s. This episode gets a You know what? I'll give it a 4.
There you go.
I'm with you, Kamar. Simon, you gave it a 3, right?
Sorry, I'm just doing some math here, Matt.
Oh, he's
Well,
carrying
we don't
the
have
one.
that long, Simon.
Yeah, no, I give this one a 3.
3. Okay, let's move on.